have some trivia to share with you today. Ready? 3. First is, whatever happened to that bronze serpent wrapped around the pole? Whatever happened to it? If I had one of those poles with the bronze serpent on, I certainly wouldn't leave it in the desert to junk. If it cured people's diseases, I'd want to keep it for a long time, right? Where did it go? I suppose the Israelite people liked it and wanted it just as bad. They didn't throw it away, as it turns out. Years later, we hear about it in the 2nd book of Kings, after 721 BC. In the 3rd year of Hoshea, son of Elon, king of Israel, Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began his reign. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. He pleased the Lord just as his forefather David had done. It was he who removed the high places, shattered the pillars, and cut down the sacred poles. He smashed the bronze serpent called Nehushtan, which Moses had made, because up to that time the Israelites were burning incense to it. He put his trust in the Lord, the God of Israel, and neither before him nor after him was there anyone like him among all the kings of Judah. He destroyed it because it was an idol. The people started to burn incense and worship that pole with the bronze serpent. Trivia. Let's go back to the desert. What happened to the people? God so lovingly freed them from slavery, promised them a land flowing with milk and honey, and was provided a way for them through the desert to that promised land. And they went into what I call the WMC syndrome. Whining, moaning, and complaining. Wah, 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 we want water. So, God gave Moses the power to strike the rock and give them water. Wah, 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 we want bread. And all of a sudden, manna rained down from heaven. Bread for them. And wah, 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 our carnivorous appetites want meat. So God sent quail to satisfy their hunger. He even dried the sea so that they could walk through on dry land and get away from the Egyptians. The trouble was they forgot all the miracles that God worked for them. And all they did was wah, 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 complain. Rather than look at all the things God accomplished for them and say, of course we trust that God will continue to take us where he promised, to that land flowing with milk and honey. They were bitten by snakes and had to look at that bronze serpent not just for healing, but to remind themselves that they were unfaithful to God. They didn't trust God. Second trivia question. Do you know of any modern logo that have a pole with serpents around it? Anybody? American Medical Association. That thing is called a caduceus, modern medicine logo. Trivia number 2. Here's the third. You see what it is, right? A sign like this, cross, appeared in the sky in the year 312 AD, and it appeared to an emperor of Rome at the time who happened to be an atheist. And there were words inscribed under the cross in the sky that said, in Signio vinces, translated from the Latin, in this sign you will conquer. Anybody know who that sign appeared in the sky to? Constantine, correct, Constantine, who was a pagan, and because of that sign, he had a dream that night that he was going to be victorious at the Milvian Bridge over Maxentius, and he was, and he made Christianity the religion of the people. That sign was very powerful. What does all this have to do with us? We have been marked by the sign of the cross. At our baptisms, before even the ceremony begins, we were marked with the sign of the cross, because it is a sign that God loved us so much that he gave us his son to die for us and open the gates of heaven. We were baptized into that dying and rising of Christ. When we die, the final thing over our mortal remains will be the sign of the cross, as a reminder of who we are and who we belong to. But you know what our problem is? Sometimes we are like the Israelites in the desert. We get into our WMC syndrome. We whine, we moan, and we complain. Wah, wah, wah. I'm not as smart as everybody else. Wah, wah, wah. I'm not as good looking as her. Wah, wah, wah. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough things. And we fail to understand that God is with us. That in the sign of the cross, we can conquer anything. Most importantly, our own selfishness, our own narcissistic tendencies. How many wear a crucifix or a cross around their necks? How many of us have crosses or crucifixes in our rooms? They even sell a little cross you can keep in your pocket. That cross is not jewelry. It's not just a fixture on the wall. The cross is a reminder that in this sign, we will conquer. We will be able to conquer anything, especially ourselves. We sometimes don't trust that God is with us. We sometimes don't believe that God has our best interest at heart. Even in our darkest moments, God is there. There's a story told about the Titanic, that after it hit the iceberg and as it was going down, it was New Year's Eve, the band was playing. And as people were drowning, the band continued to play. And they played the song, "Nearer, My God, to Thee." As people were suffering, approaching death, the band reminded them that God was with them. My brothers and sisters, God loved us so much that he gave us his only son. And Jesus loved us so much that he died on the cross as a reminder to us that, like him, we must die to ourselves. And in this sign, each of us will come.